Welcome to LawFlip. We have a hot episode today. Really, really hot. Hot, right? We got David Pourshalimi. He is a social media star, also happens to be a lawyer. More of a social media. I like to focus on the social media part because I like to pretend like I'm not a lawyer sometimes. So he's one of those guys. He came in this morning, red hot, having a good time, laughing. We talk about how he would defend against pretty much every type of case that's in the news. Kevin Spacey, the guy who's doing meth at Starbucks. Who else are you gonna defend?
What about the wife that killed the husband?
The wife that killed the husband. Everything. We talk about it all today, and it's going to be a great show. But what else? We want to say that if you haven't signed up for LawFlip, the app yet, www.lawflip.com. That's where you as a lawyer can basically broker cases. You don't want a case, you put it on LawFlip, somebody else will hit you up for it. You want to get more cases, you go on lawflip.com and you get more cases. It's simple. You do it. Go for it. Let's get in the show.
LawFlip, objection, Your Honor. Turn the game upside down. LawFlip, objection, Your Honor. Turn the game upside down.
You know, I woke up this morning, I had a little bit of Sleepy Joe vibes, a little tired, low energy. And then our guest rolls up and he's got amazing energy. He has me laughing. We're having a good time. I want to introduce you guys to David Pourshalimi. Did I say it right or no?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so we got David from how do you say, what's the firm's name?
Perlmutter and Pourshalimi.
It just rolls off the tip of your tongue.
Yeah, no, it's a nightmare. No, so we just go by P&P firm. We couldn't do PP firm for unfortunate reasons, but
right.
You know, in a perfect world.
But you know, not surprisingly, I have a Persian guest. I do have a little bit of a Persian obsession, but it's really just that like the most interesting and unique people that I know are Persian. So we have David. He's a criminal and personal injury attorney. You've probably seen him on TikTok. He has some of the funniest, I don't know if they're intended to be funny. I think they are because he's a kind of a comedian, but he basically goes out in front of the courthouse and talks about how great and wonderful his criminal clients are. And then he explains how he gets them off, and he gets people on TikTok and social media furious about it. And we're going to get into it and learn more. And then he also has, he says, let's go. I think my kid says, let's go all the time. But why is that a catchphrase of yours? Let's go.
I mean, it's kind of like a, when you're celebrating something, like, let's go, right?
Yeah. What's the proper way to say it?
What?
What's the proper way to say it? It's let's go.
Let's go.
Okay.
You know, and you're just stoked about what just happened. And, you know, I've been doing this for years, man. I'm making these videos outside of court.
You have been?
Yeah, like pre-pandemic. It started with like a picture I took once with one client who had like neck tattoos and stuff. And, you know, I posted that on my Instagram. I was never a social media guy. Like I only got Instagram because of the firm.
Right.
And my mom saw that picture and she's like, oh my God, like, what are you doing? Like, who are these people you're defending? And I was like, yeah, you know, what's up? Like, and
how'd
then
you get into criminal law?
I got into criminal law. Well, that was my first job as a lawyer. I was a prosecutor.
Oh.
Yeah, but in law school, I worked at the DA's office. And I was in the gang homicide unit, and I loved it. It was so cool. You know, I was going, like, the DA they assigned me to work with he's a mentor of mine. I love this guy so much. This guy only does gang murder cases. He's been doing gang murder cases for, like, since I've known him. It's been like 10 years. Stuff. This guy's no joke, a real trial lawyer. Like, this guy tries cases like nothing, you know, and for me, it was such a cool role model to have. I wanted to be just like him. I wanted to pull up, okay, we're doing a murder trial today. All right, let's go. Like, let's crush this. And he really inspired me, man. And before that, I was working at law firms since I was like early on in college, probably.
Oh, wow.
And it was just personal injury law firms. No one really was trying any cases.
Put aside money. What do you, if today you're working on a criminal case or a personal injury case, what do you choose?
Aside money, well, it depends. I really like the elder abuse cases, and those can be injury. They're mostly injury, but probably criminal.
Yeah.
I like criminal.
And there's action.
It's action, and it's not. There's no paperwork like there is with civil. Like civil, like
I was always jealous of criminal law attorneys that can just show up to court and you do your job at the courthouse and then you're done.
Yeah. Well, it gets even cooler than that. Like civil, like my life, I'm at the office until like 7:30, 8 o'clock, like doing paperwork, and it's not exciting. But criminal, man, when I was a prosecutor, I'd be driving to court in the morning knowing like, damn, I might try a case today. And I get to court and they say, David, you want to try a case? Yes, of course. So I was always like, let's try a case. I'm always going to try a case.
Get balls.
And they're like, okay, here's the file and you're picking a jury in 15 minutes.
No way.
It's like that. Yeah. And you're quickly, like you're going through the police report and writing things in the margin like, oh, okay, yeah, like we're going to have a pretrial hearing right now and we're going to do motions in limine. Mm-hmm. And unlike a civil case where you know, like, okay, I'm going to draft a full-on motion, a legal brief with case law, and we're going to lodge like 10 motions in limine, and a month from now we're going to argue them. Hell no, man. In criminal, like I'm just issue spotting these things in the margin, writing them, and then we're in the front of the judge, and it's like you got to know like law off the top of your head. You have your evidence code next to you, so you got to know the evidence code like that.
You're inspiring people right now.
It's cool, man. I loved being a prosecutor and being in the criminal courts every day. I felt like I ran that shit. Like it was so cool. But I do like civil too. It's good work, but it's not. I mean, in terms of how much fun you're having doing it, criminal's definitely a lot of fun.
So you're talking about like the substance. Let's talk really quickly about like the superficial part of your social media, and like you're representing some of the, I'm not going to say worst parts of society, but you're representing people who have had multiple DUIs, multiple, domestic violence incidents. Like, I know that everybody deserves representation, but do you have a hard time justifying it to your Persian family? I'm representing multi-offender DUIs and stuff like that. Like, is that tough for you?
Surprisingly not. Man, when I was a prosecutor, there was not a case I had that my dad thought I would win. Like, he's like, no, what do you mean? Like, this should be not guilty. What are you guys doing?
They just leave the guy alone.
Yeah, no. And then knowing that one time, I was in trial doing jury selection, and there was a Persian guy on the jury, and I was like, damn, this guy reminds me of my dad. He looks like my dad, also an electrical engineer, Persian. You know what? Like, I'm going to pick this guy, even though he's probably going to like be against me. And then the defense attorney was like, why is David so stoked about this juror? So she kicked him off.
Because she just thought Persian. She didn't
she's like, damn, no, David's stoked about this juror, but like, no, like that juror was probably going to vote against me.
Yeah.
Like, if he's anything like my dad. But no one's got like that much of a problem.
Well, social media does. I mean, you have a lot, because what you do is, and it's brilliantly entertaining, but you get people riled up because you're literally hyping up somebody by saying like, this is my great client, and then you reel off all the like they caused a crash that like totaled 3 cars. And we got them off.
Yeah.
Like,
and they're back on the road driving, thanks to me. Yeah. You're welcome, society.
How do you deal with, like, does that affect you? All the, like, thousands of comments of, like, this guy's horrible. He's literally, like, he's making it like Gotham City.
So, okay, and let me correct myself. There was in the beginning when I started doing defense, because when I was a prosecutor, everyone was like, oh, God bless you. I had, like, a Persian family that was a victim in a case. Like, this guy, like a Persian dad, like took my hand and kissed my hand in court. Like, God bless you. And I'm like, dude, this is weird. No one's doing that shit once you're on the defense, right? Like, people hate you, right. Except for your clients and their families. But the haters online, they did kind of get to me in the very beginning because I wasn't used to it. I'm like, look, like I'm a good guy. Like, I look out for everybody. I want the best for everybody. And for people to start shitting on me like the way they did viciously, and I'll tell you, they get really nasty, like wishing death on me. Like, I hope your next client kills you and your family. Wow. Man, there have been people that
have anybody showed up at your door, like at your? You know what? Let's not even go there.
No, people have called. People have called and like started yelling at me, like, "Why are you doing this?" But the thing is, what I've learned is that everyone's gonna shit on you no matter what. There's no winning. There is no winning. Everyone, like, look at any politician. Anyone, any of like your favorite sports players or anyone, there's always going to be someone hating for no reason other than just there's a lot of opinions that bounce around.
What's the craziest story, like the craziest representation you've had?
Oh man, the craziest representation was a case that I actually gave up when me and my partner just started criminal defense. There was a case up in Kings County in the city of Hanford, which I never even heard about these parts of California, man. It smells like manure for an hour just driving up to the courthouse. And the courthouse seems like it's in the middle of a manure field. So you're in like Farmville right there. And she retained us in LA saying, oh, it's just like a domestic violence case. They think that like I hit my kid or something. It's not a big deal. I didn't do any of it. We're like, okay, whatever. This is... we've prosecuted many of these, so it's like, whatever, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
And I don't have any cases, so going up to, like, driving a few hours, not a big deal. Bro, we get there. I get the report. This wasn't, like, a normal child abuse. Like, I don't even know if I should be saying this on camera, because, like, I told my family, this is one case I told my family, and, like, this was, like, really not good. But she almost killed, like, her kid, man.
Jesus Christ.
Right? And I don't think
I thought we were here to joke around.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get graphic here. I don't want to get graphic here, but
no, I honestly can't even hear about it.
Yeah, no, I did a lot of research on this. I found a good expert witness from Texas, and I got her a death penalty lawyer to take over the case who's up there, like close to there, and I was like, I'm done with this.
Your humor, because you have a great sense of humor. Where did that come from?
I grew up wanting to be a stand-up comedian. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a big dream of mine. I still dream of doing that. Yeah. I'd love to do that sometime. Growing up, believe it or not, my role model was Jay Leno. How weird is that?
That's amazing.
And like, who's ever said my role model is Jay Leno?
Not many people.
Like, not many. I don't know if there's been anyone, and it's not even because of his cars. It's just growing up watching his show, and look, Jimmy Fallon took over his show, but I gotta say, and like, not many people feel the way I do about what I'm about to say, but fuck Jimmy Fallon, bro.
Why?
His first ever show was right after Jay Leno's last show, and Jay Leno like cried on his show, and I like also like got a little emotional, watching that. And in my emotional state of watching TV, Jimmy Fallon comes up after and he's like, haha, yeah, now it's my show, and starts shitting on Jay Leno for crying. Yeah. And I'm just like, you know what? Fuck you, Jimmy Fallon. And fuck your Ben and Jerry's flavor. You
motherfucker. Start a beef with Jimmy Fallon.
I have a beef with Jimmy Fallon.
How has social media, have you gotten a ton of clients from all this insanity? Because I usually... social media works in weird ways, but I could actually see you getting some criminal law clients from this. Like, Jesus, he's getting off these good people, great people. Is it working?
I have gotten maybe not that many clients, maybe like 2 off of like just TikTok or whatever. But the way it helps is that I have a lot of people already referring me cases by word of mouth, and when someone sends me a lead, like, hey, you should call David if you have like a DUI or like you beat your whatever, I tell them, hey, if you look, I know you're talking to other lawyers, you should be talking to other. I always tell everyone, look, talk to other lawyers,
right?
Because I don't want midway through my representation for them to think like, oh, what if I? No, you talk to other lawyers, and if you vibe with me, great, we're gonna have a good time together. But you know what?
A good time in a criminal case.
You should also check out my TikTok, because I've had cases gnarlier than yours with great results.
Right.
And nothing's guaranteed, obviously, but look, I know what I'm doing, and I'd love to help you, and you should do your due diligence, and this is part of your due diligence, and that helps secure, like, if someone wants to hire me, they're like, oh yeah, no, this guy is the guy compared to the other lawyers I'm talking to.
Yeah, and it's also good to like it reminds even your own network that does refer you business. It just constantly reminds them if they see you online with all your videos and stuff. So
yeah,
it works. Okay, so we're gonna move on to some topics. So I just saw today Elon Musk put out 2 tweets. He basically said that working remote is no longer acceptable at Tesla. What do you guys think? Arian, David, what do you think?
I worked from home for 1 month when COVID started, and it just wasn't for me. Yeah. I'm just not as efficient at home. I just want to like go online or whatever. It's just something about being at the office. And that's just me. Like I'm sure like my sister loves working from home and she's upset having to go into the office now. At the same time, I don't know how productive she is.
Right.
But you know, it's his company. He can do what he wants. If he sees the numbers and he sees the productivity is lower, and he wants to increase productivity, then great.
Yeah, I hear that. Arian, I know you got a take on this one.
I mean, so here's the thing. David brings up a great point that it's his company. He could do whatever the fuck he wants with it, right? However, I think there's a lot of people who can work very productively at home, and I think it would be counterproductive to pull them back into the office, because I think there's a lot of great talent out there right now, and with so many companies offering work from home, forcing people to come back, I think risks losing some premium talent.
It may.
Yeah,
it may, but he's not bought into. He obviously he's a pretty smart guy, so he's probably figured out that he wants to go all. He's going to be the guy that says no. Every company is like, you know, you could work from home. I'm going to be the person that says, I don't believe in that shit, and you're going to come back in the office.
I don't necessarily have a big problem with it.
Yeah,
just general. You know,
you just don't like him.
You know. I think he's doing a lot for humanity.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to be one of the global leaders next 50 years down the line. But like he fucking abuses his employees, like particularly at like the Fremont space. Like fuck this guy for like stuff like that. So like other than the labor stuff, love the guy.
Other than the guy being abusive to
honestly,
employees.
he's hilarious, and funny people get a lot of points when it comes to me.
I hear
you. His Twitter is amazing.
I'm going to let you get away with a lot of...
Yeah, I completely agree. You're funny, you get away with a lot more.
Yeah.
Okay, how do you guys feel about the cops in Uvalde, right? That's
Uvalde.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I heard it took them an hour to get there.
73 minutes before they walked in, yeah.
I don't know why. Were they just like, hey, like, are we really going to go in here? The guy's got a gun.
Yeah, so there's basically the law enforcement officers did not immediately confront the gunman because they could have been shot, a Texas Department of Public Safety official told CNN.
Holy shit, I might have had to do my job.
Yeah.
You shouldn't walk into this guy.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, don't they have a SWAT team that's the whole point of that is to go in somewhere that you could get shot?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
What happened to the SWAT? They don't have SWAT there?
I mean, it seems just cowardice. I mean, like I'm not a man enough to be a cop, but that's what you're signing up for.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a firefighter. Just there's a fire and he's like, dude, I can get burnt. You know what? Am I going to go in there? But I mean, I get it. If you're just like a street cop that's just giving tickets and you're like, dude, I didn't sign up for running in whatever. I mean, you kind of did.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you signed up for it.
You did sign up for it. I'm sorry.
So another thing about
my bad.
School shootings. Ron Johnson says critical race theory, wokeness, responsible for school shootings. What do you guys think?
I think no. Hell no. I mean, what? People just get so political and start acting all like weird. Like, come on. No.
That's just like it's one thing to make the argument that guns are not responsible, which I think is crazy, but to then say guns aren't responsible, wokeness is.
Yeah. That's like it's one thing to like coward from the gun debate, but to shift it completely to like blame the woke libs.
By the way,
Like, you're
wokeness
just going
is
too far.
relatively like the whole concept, and not that wokeness is recent, but like the whole talk about wokeness is recent. Columbine was like 20 plus years ago.
Yeah.
So this shit's been going on a long time.
I just think generally when people are so radical on one side of a political spectrum, you're gonna start hearing things that don't sound right. Like,
Right.
oh yeah, it was critical race theory. This little kid who, by the way, I heard that, I don't know, the police already knew about this, or like it was known that this kid used to torture cats and like kill them and put their dead bodies in like bags and like laugh and hold like kill animals, and also post online that he wanted to like rape women or something.
that kid
like-
that kid should be able to buy guns.
Like that has nothing to do. Look, critical race theory could be like the worst thing ever invented. Sure, whatever. It has nothing to do with this kid like killing people. Like it really doesn't.
By the way, would you, if he didn't get killed, would you have represented him?
I mean, I generally don't take cases like that.
Yeah.
No more 3-strike cases, no like murder, nothing like that.
Why?
It's just too much. Honestly, it's just a business decision.
Yeah.
No one can really afford what might cost. There's so many lawyers that would take a case like that for what I would consider to be pennies.
Right.
I mean, I have a lot of other cases that pay out a lot better that I don't need to lose sleep over.
Right. That basically they can't afford it, and it would be brutal.
Yeah. And also representing that guy, I don't know, man. I'm like, dude, I live
that's maybe a bridge too far.
You know, like my parents live close to me. You know, I don't need like people protesting at their house or whatever. You know, like it's okay.
Okay, here's another. I could see this totally being one of your clients. A trooper claims that Starbucks spiked his coffee with meth. So this is. Do you think that Starbucks put meth in somebody's coffee, guys? Do you think that's possible, or you think it's more like this guy did meth and he's trying to blame it on Starbucks?
Well, yeah, that's the obvious. That's obviously what happened. Like he's just blaming it on Starbucks. But is it possible?
It's for sure possible.
Things are possible. Here's the thing, right?
Give me the argument. You're defending this guy.
Here's the thing, all right? And we're in criminal jury trial right now, and this is closing arguments. We've heard the evidence, okay? And now I'm the defense attorney, and I'm explaining to the jurors what beyond a reasonable doubt is. And it's beyond a reasonable doubt, okay? It's not all possible doubt, right? So is this possible? All right, but the law doesn't define what reasonable is. Mm-hmm. All you can say is like something more than possible. So possible plus more than just possible I would argue is reasonable, okay? So yes, is this possible? All the jurors can agree it's possible, right? It is. All right. Now let's start talking about the facts and talking, maybe there's like one little thing we can hang our hat on that it makes it more than just possible. Like what if someone working at the Starbucks knew this guy from before? Mm-hmm. You know, and that guy's a meth head. What if we know there's a meth head that works at Starbucks? Right? Now it's not just like a random Starbucks that we pulled in and got a drink from. This is like there's some more going on at this Starbucks that makes that more likely.
Why should they not convict this? Even though this is a civil case, why should they not convict this guy? Give us the closing line.
Oh, this is criminal. This is a criminal.
No, it's not. It's a civil case he's bringing, saying that Starbucks put meth in his coffee. But I wanted you to take it as a criminal case. What's your last line to the jury why he's not guilty?
I mean, look at my great client. Look at his. Show them your teeth. Get up, Your Honor. Can you stand up, Your Honor? Your Honor, can you stand up and do a little demonstration? Show them your fingers, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, look at his fingers, right? Pristine fingers. His nails are cut pristine. It's as if he got a manicure before this. No dirt.
And he has not gotten a manicure.
You know, it's just nice and clean hands. Open up your mouth. Does that look like Swiss cheese to you? Clean, white teeth. Of course, before the trial, I took him to get his fingers done, and I took him to my buddy who's a dentist, whitened the shit out of his teeth. This motherfucker's not looking like a meth head for this trial. For my trial, hell no. You know, of course, I've had other cases where the other way around, where the guy had so much meth that like I wanted to make it look like he's a meth head to show that like, no, look, he just got a good deal for all of this meth. You know, so like,
just got a good
like,
deal.
because look, what he can't. Look, he's on the
for
street.
personal use.
Yeah, he's on the street. Why would he buy enough meth to last him a week if he gets a 75% discount to buy a whole month's worth?
It's amazing.
Right? And yeah, he has like 100 baggies, empty baggies on him, but that's because, you know, because he's got a serious problem. If he packs too much, he's going to do it all. So he's got to ration it out. And he's a meth head, so he thinks of these things.
I love it. Okay, your next client, Kevin Spacey. Okay, so basically, the Crown Prosecution Service. Why do they everything's so like formal and it sounds so nice in the UK?
I have a question. Do they still wear the wigs over there?
Oh, 100%, 100%. I want to go back to that. I want to take their. I think that's dope. You know,
we should have that here.
100%.
I would do that for sure.
So the Crown.
I'd get like a white, but mine would have a fade still. You know, it'd be like.
You for sure would have a sick ponytail though. Like
yeah, no, it would
sick-
go back, you know, it kind of like a mullet vibe, but like a fade, you know, but it'd all be white.
Okay, so the Crown Prosecution Service announced on Thursday that it had authorized 4 charges of sexual assault against Spacey relating to alleged attacks against 3 males between 2005 and 2013 after investigation. And yeah, he just like came back, like after being Me Too'd, he came back, was starting to do like a new film that just came out. Now these new charges. Tell me, what is your argument to the jury of why Kevin Spacey was not guilty of sexually assaulting these males?
Between 2005 and 2013.
Yes.
You know, I actually don't know anything about these males' allegations, but I'm just curious, why is this now becoming a problem as opposed to way back then?
Right.
And it kind of seems like an attention grab. I mean, I don't look, people are genuinely assaulted all the time, and then if they want to come forward and, you know, complain, they're going to be seen and attacked saying like, hey, no, this is an attention grab, right? And it's sad. It's sad.
It is.
But you know what? I got to do my part.
Right.
I got to do my part.
Right.
And I'm going to blame the fuck out of these victims, and I'm going to make them miserable, not because I want to, but because
It's your job.
It's my job.
Yeah.
And my clients rely on me to do that. They're specifically hiring me to do that. And it's not just me.
That's part of the system. Look, it's part of the system.
I'm not an evil person for this. This is the entire profession. This is what we do.
I mean, the truth is what you're describing, it's just more easily seen in criminal cases, but in business cases and personal injury cases, it is cutthroat. You do everything within the bounds of the law to get stuff done. So it's not crazy, but I want to know your closing argument for Kevin Spacey. The same way that you got the meth head off, how are you going to get Kevin Spacey off?
My closing argument would probably be, look, these 3 men, I don't know. I'm assuming that they are aspiring actors also, or aspiring entertainment people or whatever, okay?
I'll give you that assumption. Let's just assume
And it is so difficult to make it in entertainment. So difficult. Even so much so, my sister wanted to be an entertainment lawyer and couldn't get a job doing that despite like probably 100 interviews, right? Every aspect of entertainment is difficult to be successful. And people are opportunistic, and, you know, they're willing to get their hands dirty just to advance their own career and their dreams. And people dream of being famous in entertainment. Dream. So, you know, if they just say, you know what, Kevin Spacey, you know, he did a little touchy and did something to me, and it really hurt my feelings, and this is how they're going to get broadcasted to the world and get their name out there. It seems like they have a lot to gain from just a few words. And they're already acting. They're already actors.
by making these accusations.
I mean, they're already, like, they're actors, okay? You grew up, you went to acting class and all this stuff, and now it's just part of your act that you're acting that you were sexually assaulted by Kevin Spacey.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is all an act.
Literally.
They're putting him through the ringer.
Disclaimer on disclaimer.
10 years, 20 years after putting him through the ringer, 20 years after for their own self-gain.
This is off the top of your head.
Yeah.
It's great.
Fucking nuts.
It's great.
It's
great.
despicable.
Fucking nuts.
He's the victim here. They're assaulting him with his false accusations.
Again, this is a hypothetical argument.
It's totally hypothetical, honestly.
Hypothetical.
Like, I feel really bad for these guys if he really assaulted them. Like,
Obviously.
Jesus, they probably needed to go to therapy or ruin their lives or something.
And we do represent people that are victims, and they come out a long time after, because that's. I mean, look, I have stuff in my own life that I only. Not that, thankfully, but like I have crazy trauma that I've been through that like you only realize 10, 15 years like, Jesus, that happened. You don't even, you bury it down, you know?
I went to therapy like a few years ago, and the therapist was so good, like talking about like my childhood, and I had no idea how things from your childhood or growing up really affect you like today in your everyday thought processes.
100%.
Like holy crap!
Want to share a little bit or no?
No. I mean, no, that's fine. But like,
it's because Benji and I are both very pro therapy.
Yeah.
We talk about it every week.
Wednesdays are therapy day.
Yeah.
Therapy's
okay.
great.
Here's another story. How are we on time, Arian? We could say
Well,
this.
you know, I appreciate you asking. We just eclipsed 30 minutes.
Okay, so we're gonna do one more story. So is it gonna be the woman killing her husband, or is it gonna be the Mona Lisa attacked? Which one?
I wish we could let the audience choose. David, what do you want to do?
I want to talk about. Well, I want to talk about both of them. I did read about. I don't know the lady killing her husband. I hear about that all the time, but I don't know about this one. But the Mona Lisa thing is like brand new. I saw a picture of it on an article, but it kind of looked like he actually got the white. Like I don't know if it's paint or cake. Mm-hmm. But it looks like he got it on the damn painting, which doesn't make sense because I always thought the painting was covered.
Protected, yeah. Okay, so here's a person seemingly disguised as an old woman in a wheelchair has staged an attack on the Mona Lisa. Video shared online shows the world's most famous artwork with cake smeared across the glass case protecting it. Bystanders said
good.
A man dressed as an old lady jumped out of a wheelchair at the Louvre in Paris before attempting to smash the protective glass in front of the Leonardo da Vinci painting. How, David, would you get this person off?
All right, well, he's dressed as an old woman, okay?
Yeah.
We gotta use the tools, you know, we can only play the cards we're dealt,
Sure.
okay? Something about him, first and foremost, what he's doing is just off the walls.
Right, psychotic.
Right? I'm not waking up in the morning and going to the Louvre, which is a whole ordeal. Like, you gotta wait in line. I've been there when I was a little kid. You gotta wait in a long-ass line just to get in, and then just to get to Mona Lisa, and then I don't know how he got, like, the cake with him. It's a whole production, right?
Mentally ill? You're going with the mentally ill defense?
Yeah, well, the problem is that it's pretty damn premeditated too. Like he had to like plan this out. It's not like he just happened to be there and willy-nilly, whatever. Anyway.
It was also a protest. Like on his way out, he was like yelling something about
climate change.
Yeah.
So, okay. I mean, that's another thing also. So like, what does climate change have to do with the Mona Lisa? Okay, so, all right. First and foremost, what it is that he did is already an unreasonable thing that none of the jurors would ever do, okay?
Right.
Your audience are the jury. You guys are reasonable-minded people. We chose you because you're reasonable, right? None of you guys would have done this, right? Because it's not a reasonable thing to do, okay? So this person isn't like you, right? But don't hold that against him. You're not allowed to. You should actually feel sorry for him. Okay. Or her, I don't know, dressing like a woman. Okay. So, and then also... Look, I'm looking at all of you, you know, and I don't mean to judge any of the jurors. Maybe I wouldn't do this because you just don't know these days, whatever. But I mean, like, I don't know. I don't see anyone cross-dressing or dressing like a older woman. Anyway, but he's dressing up. So he's just obviously confused or something's going on, right? Or maybe there's a reasonable doubt as to whether or not he's confused, which is all I need. I don't need to show that he's actually confused about his gender or whatever, but like, he's dealing with some shit.
Yeah.
right? Dressing like an old woman, going and doing this unreasonable thing, okay, and then saying something about climate change. I don't know if he's really doing this as a way to protest for climate change, because that's not effective at all.
Right.
What politician is going to be like, okay, you know what, that gave me awareness, now we're going to do something about climate change?
What person would change their mind because of that?
It's just so vague. Like, if he really cared about climate change and was really into the climate, he wouldn't be doing that. He'd be like, there'd be more like researched thing. Okay, so really, ladies and gentlemen of the reasonable jury, this person is just off the walls, and every single thing he's doing, every aspect of what he's doing is just crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, and I hate using the word crazy, but it's just, I prepare better for this. But,
yeah,
you know, I think that, I mean, you don't say I think, there's definitely a reasonable doubt here as to whether or not he appreciated the nature of his actions.
Yeah.
And maybe we'd go with some sort of insanity defense, probably lose it.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty damn premeditated what he did.
It's a tough one.
It's not good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to try this case. What I would try to do is, before trial, I would try to do a motion for mental health diversion. If this, assuming this is, I mean, this is not California, this is France, obviously,
right.
But like, if we're here, mental health diversion in California is pretty powerful. Like, I think when it came out, I don't know if it still does, but like the statute, like, even applied to murderers, which is kind of crazy. I don't think anyone's ever gotten it for one, but you just got to show that this person committed the crime because they had a treatable mental illness, and if they were to get treatment, they would not repeat this behavior again.
Yep.
Which makes sense. It really makes sense.
Yep.
The law is beautiful for that, because, like, what if we gave someone this treatment and they wouldn't have committed a crime if they had the treatment? Okay? And now we're punishing someone, instead of just punishing someone for committing a crime that they would not have done if they had treatment.
That's a good one.
Right? The goal is, okay, you're a bad boy, we should punish you. But what's the point of punishing you if you're going to just do it again?
And as I've learned, people are not, well, there's Hitler, of course, but people generally are not bad. They do bad things.
Yeah, people do bad things, and the whole point of the criminal justice system, the main thing is just stop people from doing bad shit.
Right.
That's why we send people to jail a lot of the time. Because while you're in jail, you're not doing bad shit to everyone else. You can murder someone inside, and then we'll keep you in longer. But I think the goal should be rehabilitation, which it really is. The case law and everything is all about rehabilitation.
Yep.
And if we could really stop people from committing more crimes without jail, then God bless.
Totally.
But honestly, sometimes we need jail.
Yeah.
We really do need jail. Like, a lot of people are like, no, say no to jail. Look, I mean, like, we could use it.
100%, but it's,
you know,
it's overused.
In LA, I might be fine with us even building another jail. Honestly, we're overpacked. People, did not, I don't know how this didn't make the news, but the sheriffs run the jails.
Mm-hmm.
The sheriffs put out a letter to all the judges saying, we're not taking any more remands.
Jeez.
So what that means is, if you have an open criminal case and you were a bad boy during your criminal case, and like you committed another crime, or like you intimidated one of the witnesses, the judge can now increase bail or set bail for the first time and send you into custody. From the courtroom, a sheriff will handcuff you and put you in lockup.
Wow.
Okay, that's called being remanded.
Yeah.
Or being bucketed is like a little like a slang term in the criminal defense world. Yeah, you can get bucketed. The sheriffs recently came out and said, no more. We're just way far in capacity, like over capacity. We just cannot take anymore.
That's crazy.
I have a buddy who's a criminal defense attorney, and he has a stalker client, like death threats and everything. And the judge wanted to remand this client.
They can't.
And they're like, look, I can't. The sheriffs won't take him. So now he's living in fear. He bought a gun.
That's insane.
Lawyer literally went and bought a gun.
Oh, that's crazy.
To protect himself and his family.
There is so much more to learn with David. We'll have him back, but we are moving on to legal tip.
If you want to vote on Election Day, and strongly believe in only voting on election day, your employer has to provide you with as much time as you need to go vote, up to 2 hours of which may be paid. The employer may require that you do it at the beginning of your or end of your shift, but you are entitled to do that as long as you give advance notice to your employer. So go vote on election day.
You cannot be discriminated against if you are older. Just because you're quote unquote over the hill, you can't be talked to, treated differently than your other colleagues, your other employees. So if you have comments that are made about your age, you're moving too slow, anything about your age that is, and you're treated differently based on your age, that's illegal. If they hire someone to replace you that's much younger than you, those are all signs that you are being treated differently because of your age. If you feel like you've been a victim of age discrimination in the workplace, call us. We're Smith Law. We're an employment, personal injury, and class action law firm. Call us 1-833-LawFlip. So, David, it was incredible to have you. You brought the energy. We laughed. We didn't cry, even though we probably should have based on what we talked about.
No, I didn't get into the details.
Yeah, we could have cried. Very easily could have cried, but we really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me. This is fun.
Yeah, man. Tell us where everybody could find you if they haven't seen you already.
You're going to want to get on TikTok and you want to follow P and P Firm 2.0.
What happened at 1 point? What happened at 1.0?
So it was just P and P Firm, like my Instagram and my website, but it got banned.
No way.
And I appealed the banning. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about banned? Like, I literally just talk about my cases, which are totally legal and ethical. Like, come on, I know the ethical rules. You think I'm not looking these things up before posting? People will comment like saying that I'm unethical the way I'm posting my stuff.
You get permission from the clients beforehand?
Oh yeah, 100%. They love, 100%.
It's really wild that they do.
And what was I saying? What was your question?
How do people find you?
Okay, yeah. So find me on TikTok 2.0. My PNP firm got banned on TikTok for violating the violent extremism policy somehow. I have no idea.
That's amazing.
Who knows? I think just one person at TikTok wasn't really paying attention and pressed the ban button and I don't know.
And then what? And then anywhere
TikTok, Instagram, you can find me P&P Firm. My website pnpfirm.com. Just give us a call. I give free consultations to anyone who's got a criminal issue or personal injury, elder abuse. Seriously, man, anybody, mainly what I'm doing is elder abuse.
Really?
Anybody who has a loved one that lives at a nursing home or assisted living facility and you just feel like you're not getting a good vibe, a lot of time, your elderly person falls and breaks a bone or gets bed sores or just a lot of different injuries, just hit me up, call me, because it's likely that you got a case.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, people, their hunches about whether they have an elder abuse case is right.
Yeah. I'm all about, that's a good practice area. Okay, we will see you next time, LawFlip.
See you guys.